Hello and welcome to the topic Crohn's disease in the module Gastroenterology and Hepatology. By the end of this topic, you should be able to define Crohn's disease, explain the pathophysiology of Crohn's disease, describe the clinical presentation of Crohn's disease, outline the investigations in the diagnosis of Crohn's disease, and finally, discuss the management of Crohn's disease. Let's get started. Crohn's disease is a type of inflammatory bowel disease that may affect any segment of the gastrointestinal tract from the mouth to the anus. The pathogenesis of inflammatory bowel disease, which includes both Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, involve the presence of pathogenic factors such as abnormal gut microbiota, immune response dysregulation, environmental changes, and gene variants. Crohn's disease begins with crypt inflammation and abscesses, which progress to tiny focal aphthous ulcers. These mucosal lesions may develop into deep longitudinal and transverse ulcers with intervening mucosal edema, creating a characteristic cobblestone appearance to the bowel. Transmural inflammation results in the thickening of the bowel wall and narrowing of the lumen. As Crohn's disease progresses, it is complicated by obstruction or deep ulceration leading to fistulization by way of the sinus tracts penetrating the serosa, microperforation, abscess formation, adhesions, and malabsorption. Symptoms of Crohn's disease can range from mild to severe. They usually develop gradually. But sometimes this will come on suddenly without warning. So you may also have periods of time when one has no signs of symptoms at all. So this is what we call the period of remission. When the disease seems active, symptoms may include diarrhea, which may be bloody if inflammation is severe. One may have fever, fatigue, abdominal pain and cramping, mouth sores, oral ulcers, reduced appetite and weight loss, as well as hematochezia. People with severe Crohn's disease may also experience inflammation of the skin, eyes, and joints, inflammation of the liver or bile ducts, kidney stones, iron deficiency anemia, rectal bleeding, delayed growth or sexual development, especially in children, and pain near the drainage area or around the anus due to inflammation from the tunnel into the skin known as a fistula. For laboratory tests, the physician may suggest blood tests to look for anemia as well as to look for signs of infection. Stool studies may be recommended if one needs to look at any occult blood or organisms such as parasites in the stool to exclude parasitic infections. Essentially, one would need a sample of tissue biopsy for lab analysis. A colonoscopy can be done, and this allows a view of the entire colon from the very end of the ileum using a thin, flexible, lighted tube with a camera at the end. During the procedure, a sample of tissue is taken for biopsy, and this is sent for laboratory analysis, which may be very helpful to make a diagnosis. Clusters of inflammatory cells called granulomas, if present, help essentially confirm the diagnosis of Crohn's disease. A CT scan, which is a special X-ray technique, provides more detail than a standard X-ray does. This particular scan looks at the entire bowel as well as the tissues outside the bowel. A CT enterography is a special CT scan that provides better images of the small bowel, and this test has replaced barium X-rays in many medical centers. An MRI scan uses a magnetic field and radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues. So MRI is particularly useful here in evaluating a fistula around the anal area or small intestines as well. As for capsule endoscopy, this test requires one to swallow a capsule that has a camera in it. The camera then takes pictures of the small bowel and transmits them to a recorder which is worn on the belt. The images are then downloaded to a computer and displayed on a monitor and looked for signs of Crohn's disease. A capsule endoscopy should not be performed if there is any evidence of bowel obstruction as a result of complications that have set in due to Crohn's disease. And finally, a balloon-assisted enteroscopy. For this test, a scope is used in conjunction with a device called an overtube. This enables the doctor to look further into the small bowel where standard endoscopes don't reach. And this technique is useful when capsule endoscopy show abnormalities but the diagnosis is still in question. Now, when we look at the medical management of Crohn's disease, there are more than one treatment that can be administered. First of all, let's discuss anti-inflammatory drugs. Corticosteroids, to be specific, such as prednisolone, have long been beneficial for people with Crohn's disease. However, they are limited to short-term use when other treatments are not effective. Immune system suppressors are also given to help reduce bowel inflammation, and these are traditionally used to treat Crohn's disease, which include azathioprine and micabtapurine. Antibiotics are given to help heal ulcers and fistulas as well as to help reduce the number of harmful bacteria in the bowel. Newer drugs called biologics are used to treat Crohn's disease in people with moderate to severe cases. Ustekinumab is the most recent biologic approved to treat Crohn's disease. It is used in the same way as other biologics as well. TNF inhibitors work by blocking a protein that causes inflammation, and some examples include infliximab and adalimumab. These drugs are used to treat moderate to severe Crohn's disease in people who don't respond well to other medications. They block inflammation in a different way as compared to other TNF inhibitors. Rather than blocking TNF, they block a substance called integrin, and these are known as natalizumab and vedolizumab. So when is surgery indicated for Crohn's disease? Medications isn't always enough, and some people with Crohn's disease eventually require surgery. An estimated of 75% of people with disease require some type of surgery to relieve their symptoms. Surgery is often considered as a last resort treatment for Crohn's disease. If Crohn's disease is creating complications that are medical emergencies, one may also require surgery, and these complications include bowel abscess, bowel perforation, a fistula, which is an abnormal connection between two cavities such as the rectum and the bladder, an intestinal blockage or obstruction, toxic megacolon, and uncontrolled bleeding. The type of surgery a surgeon would perform depends on the part of the intestinal tract that's affected. An osteotomy involves creating a hole in the body to eliminate the contents. So the surgeon may perform this surgery after one had a portion of the small or large bowel removed. Ileostomy involves creating a hole in the abdomen where the small bowel can be diverted. A colostomy involves the surgeon diverting one end of the large bowel through an opening in the abdomen. It is similar to an ileostomy, but it connects the large bowel to the abdominal wall rather than the small bowel to the abdominal wall. In some cases, the surgeon can reverse this procedure once the bowel has had time to heal. A colectomy involves removing the damaged portion of the bowel, including the small intestine, large intestine, or the rectum. And this surgery is also referred to as a bowel resection. When only part of the bowel is removed, this is called partial colectomy. A proctocolectomy consists of removing the colon and rectum and often involves creating an ostomy to collect waste products. Now let's finally look at the complications of Crohn's disease. As we have discussed some a little earlier, Abscesses are common complications of Crohn's disease. These are pockets of pus that happens because of bacterial infections. It can form on the walls of the intestines and bulge out. Another complication would be bile salt diarrhea. Crohn's disease most often affects the ileum, the lower end of the intestine, and this part usually absorbs bile acids, which the body makes to help it absorb fat. If the body can't process the fat, then one would get steatorrhea or bile salt diarrhea as a complication. Fissures. This is a painful tear in the lining of the anus and it can cause bleeding during bowel movements. Fistulas, where sores or ulcers can turn into openings called fistulas that connect two parts of the intestine. They can also tunnel into the nearby tissues like the bladder, vagina, and the skin. Not forgetting complications such as malabsorption and malnutrition. Crohn's affects the small intestine where it is a part of the body that absorbs a lot of nutrients from the food. Bacterial overgrowth also can happen when the gut is full of bacteria. This happens higher up in the digestive tract rather than usual. One can get belching, bloating, some abdominal discomfort, distension, and also diarrhea. Strictures can happen, and strictures are narrow, thickened areas in the intestines that result from inflammation that comes with Crohn's disease. They can be mild or severe depending on how much of the intestine is blocked. Last but not least, let's not forget other systemic complications that can also take place in Crohn's disease, such as arthritis, which can affect peripheral joints, the axial joint, as well as ankylosing spondylitis. Skin problems can also be seen and most often linked to Crohn's disease include erythema nodosum, pyoderma gangrenosum, and skin tags. Eye inflammation can also take place, such as episcleritis, scleritis, and uveitis. Last but not least, we can also encounter kidney and liver problems, such as hydronephrosis of fistulas, and liver issues such as gallstone diseases, fatty liver disease, and hepatitis. So, in summary, Crohn's disease is one of the two types of inflammatory bowel disease that we have covered. We have looked at the pathophysiology and causes or risk factors, the common clinical manifestations not to miss out, investigations which are useful in diagnosing as well as looking out for other complications which may set in later, and last but not least, the management, which is the medical as well as the surgical indications for Crohn's disease. We have come to the end of this topic. Thank you.